What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, we need to take a little bit of a look at some new green Digimon. I have made absolutely no secret here of my love and preference for green Digimon. I tend to be a bit of a green Digimon player here and there. So let's start off taking a little bit of a look at a Digimon whose skill might look a little bit familiar. Shout out to the lovely folks from Ensan Gaming here who gave us our translation of Petaldramon. And what we've got here in terms of stats is a 6 cost to play normally, 3 cost to Digivolve, 7,000 power. Which is weird, because that's not the stats of a level 4 Digimon. That is the stats of a level 5 Digimon. It's too expensive to play normally, it's too expensive to Digivolve, and it's way more powerful than we would generally expect. I mean, I could show you Petaldramon here, and it's a level 5 with the exact same stats. And honestly, with green Digivolving so much more cheaply than your average colour, honestly, 3 cost to play normally, although it's standard for a level 5, green have so many that Digivolve for 2, and honestly, we expect better, alright? This is very expensive stats-wise. We are talking quite powerful here, but we are very, very expensive. But it does all kind of make sense here, because this Digimon can Digivolve from one of your green tamers as if the tamer were a level 3 Digimon. So you can evolve your green tamer straight up into this. And all of a sudden it makes a whole bunch more sense. We're talking about a hybrid Digimon. We're talking about a Gunimon here, as an example. Or we're talking about Vritramon. And to be fair, when we look at those two Digimon, these stats make a little more sense, especially given we've got a skill we will get there in a moment. So you know what? Okay, that actually does make a little bit of sense here. It's a hybrid Digimon, you can Digivolve it from a tamer, and off you go. The problem is, in the absence of anything else, and let's be perfectly clear, we might have something else coming down the way, but in the absence of anything else, I'm just not loving it. I think it's far too expensive. If we look at those red cards and the hybrids and all of that, it starts to make more sense, because Aldemon on your turn, while you got a hybrid form or red tamer, you get an extra 4,000 power, you're a level 5 with the power of a level 6. That's kind of cool. Or we could look at something like the Flamemon from BT4 that lets you add a Digimon card with hybrid in its form and or one red tamer card among them to your hand. Or we could look at something like Ancient Greymon. For each Digimon card in your Digivolution cards that has Greymon or hybrid, Greymon in its name, hybrid in its form, you gain security attack +1. And you get to play a hybrid Digimon when you get deleted. If you've got the suite of support that those red hybrid Digimon do, I feel very, very differently about it. And I rather suspect that this is a card that, as it stands at the moment, it's just a little bit too early. I get the feeling that we're just a little bit earlier than we should be to be talking about this. Because honestly, as it stands at the moment, it is way too expensive for a level 4, especially when green have been making their living out of having level 4s that Digivolve more cheaply and easily than others. You know, you've got stuff like Vegemon we've all been playing, and Kabutrimon, they were in BT1, and there were a pair of them that Digivolved for 1 cost. And now you're telling me I'm Digivolving for a 3 cost on an expensive to play Digimon? I don't care about the extra power, I don't think it's good enough. However, it's also got piercing, yay! Which means when you take out a resting Digimon, you perform a security attack as well. And to be fair, you do have quite a lot of power here. 7,000 power is good for a level 4, but it's good for a level 4. I don't think it's good. And the problem is, I've got an expensive Digimon here, right? So at this stage, I want to make the most of this that I possibly can. I want this to be the best use of resources I can possibly manage, and I don't think that's happening. Because it's expensive to play normally, and sure, it's 7,000 power, but that'll tie you with your average level 5. So when I attack the stack, I'm expecting to be deleted by level 5, 6s, and 7s, and survive against 3 and 4s. So piercing is cool, but I'm probably taking out a Digimon and performing a security check, getting deleted, and then I'm gone. And that's okay if I'm not spending quite so much getting it out, and I do think that is a little bit of a problem. I'm not a huge fan of this one at all, if I'm honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think it's going to end up being good enough. Unless we get a bunch of support like we saw for Red, which will change everything. As it stands at the moment, green hybrid Digimon aren't really a thing. Except Arbormon. Yeah, that's right. The other green Digimon we need to take a little bit of a look at here is also a hybrid Digimon. Now, this one is a lot more sensible in terms of stats. 5 cost to play normally, 2 cost to Digivolve, 5,000 power, and that looks more like your average level 4. And essentially, we can put these side by side, and we can basically ask the question of how much does piercing mean to you? Because in terms of stats, this is cheaper to play normally, cheaper to Digivolve, but has got 2,000 less power. Essentially, Petaldramon, and I must point out, I adore the art on Petaldramon. It looks amazing, but the fact of the matter is, I'm not loving it as a card. I like piercing, but call me crazy, I like piercing on Digimon that are going to survive. Now, you give me Bancho Stingmon, where I can have piercing and go up to 16,000 power and basically guarantee I'm going to survive whatever I meet when I'm in the security while taking out my opponent's big Digimon. I am in. I love me some Bancho Stingmon, but I don't really love 7,000 power Digimon with piercing. Against some decks, it'll be fine, obviously. If I'm fairly sure I'm going to survive, I'm good. But against the average deck, I am not sure about that. And that's my big problem here. So if I just want to Digivolve up and go through the whole hybrid thing, Arbormon is better here. Because it's cheaper. And I'm just going to roll through. Again, I still want extra help. Because I'm not really sure. Like, as a green player, by far the best tamer card we've got is Mimi Tachikawa. Mimi basically gives you an extra breeding phase if you've got a level 5 or above Digimon in play, which is incidentally a phenomenal skill, and I'm sure most of you do by now, but for anyone that doesn't know the ruling, if you hatch an egg, Digivolve it up, and then use Mimi to bring it out during that same turn, you can attack. Because you hatched it from an egg and then Digivolved it up and brought it out, that actually gets around the you cannot attack the turn you play it restriction. It kind of cheats, basically. And that is awesome. I love me some Mimi Tachikawa. And Mimi ends up in a whole bunch of my green decks because Mimi is awesome. And I suppose the argument here is you don't really want to replace Mimi with this, because Mimi is awesome. And most of the time, you don't want to turn Mimi into an uninspiring level 4. You want Mimi to be Mimi. But there are 2 reasons why I could justify playing these cards. Number 1, you might have extras. Remember that Mimi basically, like all tamers, has a skill whereby if it comes out as a security card, you just play it. So that means that you might end up with more tamers than you need, and now you can Digivolve up and you're good. It's like getting a cheeky extra level 3 out. The other thing is, I can see Petaldramon as a nice emergency Digimon. Essentially, I need to attack right now to win the game, but I am going to be blocked. Well, if this is one of my final couple attacks and I need to use this to take out a security card, but I don't mind if it goes down in the process, then what I do is I attack, I'm going to get blocked, but hopefully the blocker has less than 7,000 power, which most of them do, to be fair. I go through the blocker, take out the security, and win the game this turn. I do think that is an option, but I don't think it's enough to make me want to play it. What green has been doing so gosh darn well up to now is really taking advantage of cheaper cards and fewer resources and all of that good stuff, and I think this just flies in the face of that. I'm not a fan, ladies and gentlemen. I'm giving them both free Wassies. I don't think they're terrible. Like I've said, there are arguments to be made for them, but until we get a whole bunch of support for Hybrid Digimon in green, I can't really recommend them. There are way better ways to make green decks. If we get support for them, and bearing in mind we've seen 2 hybrid green Digimon now, so there is absolutely every chance that we will, well now, ladies and gentlemen, now that changes everything. But I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie. That's where we talk Digimon and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassie Plays.